The Run with Manny Wilson podcast is brought to you by Fifth Investments. Sports betting is cool, but you can really get the most out of your money trading in the stock market. You can make money when stocks go up, and you can make money when stocks go down. But all you need is a little guidance. So use the Fifth Investment Stock Trading Journal to help you get started right away. Fifth Investments is a fantastic resource for daily trade ideas, market analysis, news, and information for navigating the stock market. They got you covered with long-term, short-term, options trading, and more. So go to fiftinvestments.com and use the promo code THERUN for $20 off your premier membership, or just sign up for free. Trade the stock market and perfect a skill that's going to last you a lifetime.
The information is not trading or investment advice. The newsletter is only a personal blog that is being offered publicly for general information purposes only.
Now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run, the Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. We got a great episode for you today, but man, first off, I appreciate you for tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast. You know, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you like, dislike, agree with, disagree with, or even if you just want to outsmart me on something I'm about to say, feel free to go ahead, shoot us a voicemail, call 219-413-9405. But there are NBA champions, the Denver Nuggets. They have won the NBA championship, 2023 NBA champions, the first NBA championship in franchise history for this organization here. So that's huge. And we know how ESPN and all of them do. They're going to talk about it for maybe 10 minutes and then to kill it. They're going to start talking about the Lakers again. So we're not doing that here. You got to actually embrace this, celebrate this team here. It was a great series. Nikola Jokic did his thing, won finals MVP. He was supposed to win the regular season MVP, but they gave it to Joel Embiid, stopping him from winning 3 back-to-back. But technically, he got it anyway. When you think about it, and the finals MVP is more important anyway, and a championship to go along with that. So kudos to him. Also, too, Jokic was the leader in points, rebounds, and assists throughout the whole entire playoffs. The first player in NBA history to do that. So again, man, kudos to Jokic. He did his thing. The Denver Nuggets were a great team. And now people are having conversations on if this Denver Nuggets team is the team that's becoming a new dynasty in the NBA. Now, I took a poll on it. 86% of y'all said yes. 11% said hell no. And I say, yeah, Nuggets, they're in the beginning of something truly special. All great things take time to develop. All sustainable things take time to develop. When you look at the skill set of Kobe, it didn't happen overnight. When you look at the San Antonio Spurs success, it didn't happen overnight. Michael Jordan didn't happen overnight. LeBron didn't happen overnight. None of the great things that's happened overnight. Even with these great businesses that are 10 toes and not going anywhere, it did not happen overnight. Amazon, Apple, all of these different examples. I can give you multiple examples and go on and on for another 20 minutes about how nothing happens overnight. But ultimately, when I look at this Denver Nuggets team, it just proves that point to me once again, going all the way back to 2014 when they first drafted Nikola Jokic. Man, nobody knew who Nikola Jokic was. He was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. And now people start to know who he is within the last 5 years. But going back to 2014, that's patience to wait for that man to develop. Jamal Murray, a great player who was drafted in 2016, suffered an ACL injury, which was catastrophic. But the Denver Nuggets stayed with him. They waited for him to get healthy. They suffered a few losses in the playoffs. They went far, went on a few small playoffs runs with Jamal Murray and then without Jamal Murray as well. But they didn't look to trade him. They didn't say, let's get him out of here. Let's find somebody else. Let's move around these pieces. None of that. And then you look at the third piece of that, Michael Porter Jr. He was another guy they drafted. They went to the draft and got him. He didn't even play his first few years because of his back surgeries. In college, he only played like 3 games, but still somebody from that front office said, look, this is our guy that we need to draft. And then when they drafted him and he didn't play, he was still trying to get healthy. They stuck with it, took a gamble, and that man ended up paying off. He was a pivotal piece in why they won a championship. So kudos to the front office for making these draft picks. And then once these guys were healthy, once everything was set, you got your guys who were hurt, playing again. You got Jokic leading the team from when you picked him up back in 2014. They said, all right, what do we do now? Let's go grab some solid pieces. Let's go get an Aaron Gordon. Let's go get a Bruce Brown. Let's go get a Jeff Green. And then they're still drafting well because they picked up Christian Brown. This team has been doing great things and doing the right thing to become a dynasty over the last decade. So I wouldn't be surprised if they continued this journey, especially from where they left off of winning a championship and picking up Christian Brown, who showed that he's a great player and showed that he was valuable to this team in the NBA Finals in his first year in the league. So kudos to Christian Brown, because truthfully, I didn't know who he was. And I'm sure a lot of you can testify, unless you really, really followed the Denver Nuggets only, that you actually knew who Christian Brown was. I mean, he did his thing at Kansas. I know him from Kansas, but in terms of the NBA, I didn't even know he got drafted to the Denver Nuggets, if I'm being 100% honest with you. So kudos to him for showing his ass in the NBA Finals on the largest stage of the NBA. And then when you look at all the other teams who you claim have been a dynasty in the league, the development has been very, very similar. The San Antonio Spurs drafted Tim Duncan, drafted David Robinson, drafted Ginobili, drafted Tony Parker. Didn't really draft Kawhi Leonard, but traded for him on draft night. That whole thing, they picked these players specifically to lead the franchise, and that's what ended up happening. The Golden State Warriors, another example, drafted Steph Curry, drafted Klay Thompson, drafted Draymond Green. Another great organization who handpicked these players to lead the future. Even more, the Chicago Bulls, going back to Jordan and Pippen, they drafted those guys to make sure they could lead the franchise in the future. And from what I see with the Denver Nuggets, that's literally what happened. It just so happens that these guys, when they first picked him up, had a rough start. Nikola Jokic, like I said, he had a rough start. We didn't really know who he was. He was drafted in a Taco Bell commercial. Jamal Murray was injured. Michael Porter Jr. was injured. So now we're at the point where these guys are actually winning. They playing great basketball and they have great teammates there. They have other guys there as a supporting cast to really help them out. So to me, yes, they are on the way to becoming a dynasty. I'm not saying they're going to win 6 more championships or anything like that, but I definitely say they're going to be a problem within this decade of the 2020s and whatever the case is, all the way up until 2030. They definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with, for sure. So a couple side notes as well. Some of y'all kind of lost your mind a little bit. I'm going to be honest. I released a poll that said, like, is Jokic the best player in the NBA? Sometimes I try to see where my audience is thinking. I try to pick your brain, see what's going on. You guys didn't leave any voicemails about it, but y'all damn sure voted. 89% of y'all said Jokic is the best player in the NBA. 11% said no. In this case, I got to side with the 11% because what the hell is going on? Recency bias is crazy. It's a problem sometimes. I know Nikola Jokic is a great player, especially all the stats I mentioned about him early on, about him being MVP, 3-time MVP, Finals MVP, all of that stuff. Yes, that still stands. He's a great player. But until LeBron is out of the league, I don't want to hear nothing about nobody else being the best player, because LeBron has the IQ and he can still do everything else just as good, if not better than Nikola Jokic. So I don't want to hear nothing about that. Nikola Jokic is a top player in the league for sure. I won't even argue that. But I don't want to have a conversation about who else is the best in the league until LeBron retires, man. At this point, we've seen what he's still doing in year 20 something. So it shows. And I watching this, man, it shows that he's still the best player in the league. So another side note here to add, Nikola Jokic, he looks at the NBA as a job. He doesn't care about anything, not caring about the media, not caring about the parades, barely even caring about the trophy and the Finals MVP. But it's cool though. I love that for the fact that Nikola Jokic is one of those guys who are a clear demonstration that basketball is not who they are. He's just like, hey, I enjoy playing basketball, but it's work at the end of the day. I got to go to practice. I got to play in the games, and I want to be good. So I appreciate that out of Nikola Jokic, and it's funny to watch. It's fun to watch as well, because so often we see players in the league and the media paint these pictures of guys in the league that are only basketball driven. Like, this guy To hell with anything else he does off the floor. To hell with any other interest this guy has. He's only a basketball player. And that's cool and all because it gives you fame. It gives you the hype. But ultimately, man, people forget that these guys are genuinely just humans and dads and brothers and fathers and sons. All of that stuff. So it's cool to see Nikola Jokic have so much success but care so little about the fame and all of the trophies and the awards that come along with it. But until then, man, look, we got some news coming up as well. We're going to take a quick break. I got some news for the run for y'all, and then I got a couple more hot takes as well about some things that's going to be happening this offseason before the NBA season is officially done. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere, and then we're going to jump into the news. All right, news for the run. Starting off with the NFL, the Minnesota Vikings are releasing running back Dalvin Cook. The Vikings reportedly tried to find a last-minute trade partner, but didn't come across anything worth a deal, and it ultimately led to the release of Dalvin Cook. Now, this team still owes the running back $2 million from his contract. Therefore, Cook plans to be patient and will wait for the right situation. Now, former Arizona Cardinals wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins is still looking for a home this offseason in the NFL. The latest update says he will be meeting with the New England Patriots. And as far as now, Hopkins has met with the Tennessee Titans, and it's rumored that he will meet with more teams if he does not sign with the New England Patriots. Moving on to the NBA, the Phoenix Suns are all in the mix. They've decided to waive veteran point guard Chris Paul, making him a free agent. And the Phoenix Suns, they will also explore trade options involving DeAndre Ayton this upcoming offseason. And the Washington Wizards and Bradley Beal will work together to find a trade deal for the three-time NBA All-Star if the team chooses to reset the roster for the future. Now, it's said that many teams are unlikely to make a significant offer due to the Supermax contract Beal signed last year, bringing in $251 million. However, the Miami Heat, they're set to be a prominent potential location according to Shams. Now, the Toronto Raptors point guard Fred VanVleet has declined his $22 million player option and will test free agency this upcoming July. And earlier this month, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said he would share his decision regarding the suspension on Ja Morant's gun incident after the NBA Finals. So this decision is coming soon. Moving on to the NHL, the Las Vegas Golden Knights have won the 2023 Stanley Cup. Last night, they wrapped up the series 4-1 over the Florida Panthers, becoming the 2023 NHL champions. All right, so I got some hot takes here for you guys. Let's do it, man. All right, the Phoenix Suns. Let's have a quick word with you guys really quick. Come to the altar really quick or come to the table, whatever you want to prefer it as. I don't care. But the Suns, as I mentioned, the news about Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton, they can possibly bring back Chris Paul. And if they do, I'm saying this, Chris Paul and Ayton will be packed together and shipped like a box of frozen patties because Ayton already has some solid trade value with them. But when you add Chris Paul to the mix with the Phoenix Suns, that makes another great deal. Now, I don't think the Phoenix Suns are going to bring Chris Paul back to actually play there and stay there and help build the team, especially when a guy like Fred VanVleet has hit the market, which I'll cover in just a sec. But ultimately, again, packaging these two makes for a lot of deals. Starting off with DeAndre Ayton, I don't see a reason for the Phoenix Suns to have a scoring big man when you already have guys like Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. Those two guys are lethal weapons on the offensive end. So to me, if you can put together a package that's going to get you another center who can focus on rebounding and focus on the defensive end, that can help them a lot in that area. And then as far as Chris Paul, he's one of the greatest point guards in NBA history, truth be told, man. We already know this, but the man cannot stay healthy for nothing, especially in the back half of the season. He's not reliable. And to me, I personally would not pay this man any amount of money to come have an impact for my team only for half a season. I can't do it. I'm looking for somebody else if I'm the Phoenix Suns in this situation. And especially for the Phoenix Suns, man, last thing, if they can somehow bring Fred VanVleet to this organization and get something in return for DeAndre Ayton, I think they would have a huge change in that locker room that could really help them, especially when the main problem was having that bench support. That would definitely help some key guys coming off the bench. You bring Fred VanVleet, who's a three-point facilitator, can get the ball to KD, can get the ball to D-Book, and also hold his own on the offensive end, knock down open three-point shots. It's going to help them a lot, especially if you get some pieces for DeAndre Ayton as well, bringing in maybe another center or maybe another four who can play the five, or even just some role guys that come off the bench that can hold their own as well. So I definitely think it's an upside for the Phoenix Suns after looking for these potential trades. It's just a matter of time of who and when this trade will happen. I know it's going to happen, but I don't think they'll bring back Chris Paul. All right, other thing here, hot take number 2. You heard about Ja Morant. Obviously, the man was showing guns on Instagram Live and all of that, doing his, I don't know what the hell his thing is, but he was on Instagram Live flashing guns and all of that. The NBA, they're going to make an example out of him, for sure. Absolutely 100% positive. I think it'll probably be either half the NBA season or maybe a little bit less, but I don't think there's any other reason for them to drag it out this much if they're not going to really lay the hammer down on Ja. Like, true, like I understand what he did. This is his second time offense, showing guns on social media and stuff. Guns were legal in the state that he's in and all of that, and all the crisis that's going on in the world or in the country involving guns. So I understand how it can be crazy, and it's his employer. It's really just, it's his employer. Like, you can't be doing that when your employer is the National Basketball Association. And because this has happened multiple times, this is going to get bad. Adam Silver, he delayed the suspension. So now it's definitely going to be bad. I don't think it would be any reason for him to delay a suspension if it wasn't going to be as lengthy as it probably will be. Because if it was going to be a 12-game suspension, 8-game suspension, he would have announced it already. But considering he's been hyping this trade up, or not even a trade, he's been hyping this situation up, saying, I'm going to wait to the end of the finals and all of that. To me, it's telling me like he's really about to lay the hammer down on Ja Morant in this suspension. So, again, man, hey, if anything, you want to drop a quick take, you want to leave a hot take, go ahead, shoot us a call, 219-413-9405. That's all we have for you today. I greatly appreciate it. Go ahead, share this with a cousin, a brother, an aunt, an uncle, a niece, a nephew, a co-worker, someone you're friends with, a neighbor. I promise you they won't mind, especially if they enjoy sports. Just say, hey, check him out. I think you will like this episode. Other than that, hey, I appreciate you tuning in, whether you're listening on Spotify, iPodcast, iHeartRadio, or even if you're watching on YouTube or therunusa.com. Until then, we will be back later on next week. Congrats to the Denver Nuggets one last time for being NBA champions, and we'll have some more stuff for you later on next week, and so on and so on and so on. The Run with Manny Wilson podcast is brought to you by Fifth Investments. Investing is the easiest way to double your money, especially when you do it right. Most of us need help with getting started, right? I'm telling you right now, Fifth Investments is the easiest way to take your first step. You can sign up for the Daily Trading Journal, weekly newsletter, including trade ideas, market analysis, news, and information on navigating the stock market. They got you covered with long-term, short-term, options trading, and more. So go to fiftinvestments.com and use the promo code THERUN for $20 off your premier membership, or just sign up for free. Trade the stock market and perfect a skill that's going to last you a lifetime.
The information is not trading or investment advice. The newsletter is only a personal blog that is being offered publicly for general information purposes only.